Hi, I'm Alex and welcome to Dreams of Green. I've got a long-awaited update on the property for you today. It's been probably well over a year since I've posted a video, so my sincere apologies. Thank you so much for all the beautiful messages wondering what's been going on. So we're here on our 10-acre property just outside of Kyogle in northern New South Wales, Australia, and you won't believe the difference in just 12 months. So let's go on a tour. I'll show you the growth of our food forest, our native forest, what's been happening in the veggie patch. It's been a really wet spring, which is very unusual. Normally it's our driest time of the year. So let's go for a tour. So as we head out of the back gate, before I point out all of these reforested areas that were just bare, degraded paddock 3 years ago, I just want to put some things into perspective. Underneath this beautiful white mulberry, which was just a stick a few years ago, here's some of the plants we've planted, and they're just tube stock. This is a lemon-scented gum. This is a native tuckaroo. This is how, you can see the size of my hand there, this is how big the plants were as tube stock when we planted them just a few short years ago. So as we go out the back gate, you can see here what a difference. So here's an example of one of our lemon-scented gums that has just gone crazy. That is over 3 meters tall. We've got a beautiful brush box there, which is also well over 3 meters tall. And now you can see in the distance there, when we go up to the forest, we've got cockatoos feeding on all of the acacia seeds at the moment, which is fantastic to see. So as I'm going out the back gate, what a beautiful spring morning. So you can see here, this is our main kind of forest area. This is all natives, a combination of rainforest species, hardy rainforest species, as well as long-term timber species with different eucalypts, and the eucalypts are also koala feed as well. You can see it's quite a steep slope, and everything has been planted on contour just to help shore up that hill, slow the flow of water down the hill, help the rainfall runoff soak into these tree rows, and the systems worked amazingly well. Over in the background here, this is our property boundary, this corner here. Let me just zoom out a little bit here. This here was just that triangle there is our property boundary. That was just a steep, rocky, barren hillside. When we go over there, that was the first food forest I planted. You won't believe the growth. One thing as well as we make our way up the hill is we've now got closed canopy. So the wallabies love lazing around in the shade. And I'll be puffing as I go up this hill because it is very steep. So now you can start to see these agroforestry rows as we get closer. So you can see we've got grass in between that we maintain with a steep slope razorback mower. It's got a low center of gravity, so definitely a regular mower could not mow on contour because it would roll. So we still have to be very careful just maintaining these tree rows. So all of this was a bare degraded paddock just 3 years ago. As I pan up, you can see all the seed pods on our key pioneer species here, the Acacia fimbriata, that has done so well. Look at the growth. All of these were grown from seed. So shout out to Jeff Lawton who gave me the seed for these trees. These have been absolutely key to kickstart the regeneration process because they're super fast growing. We can get that really fast growing shade. And now, as you can see, we're ready to prune. So all of these lower branches have got to be pruned off. You can see we've been going along the rows, and what we've done here, we had all long grass sheltering the young trees. We've been in here now with brush cutters and cleared a lot of that long grass. You can see it's already up again though. There's a couple that I've had to replace here and there, but hardly any. We've had over a 90% success rate, which has just been absolutely astounding. And look, we've got the morning sun coming through. You can see there's a bird up there. It's brought all the birds. They're nesting in the acacias. I was hoping we might see some wallabies, but we'll see. And look at that beautiful dappled shade. So what's happening is you can see all of the moisture from that morning dew, and that's staying on the grass now so much longer. We're not having that harsh sun first thing in the morning and drying everything out. So this system is really, really evolving now. And I'm so, so pleased, because you never know when you start out and you start planting, you've got an idea in your head, you never know if it's going to work or not. So what's happened is the acacias were the first things to take off, fastly followed by the different eucalypt species. And again, these will be heavily pruned. I'm going to prune all of the lower limbs because I do want them as a source of long-term timber as well. And now, more slowly, you've got the rainforest species coming up in between the acacia on one side, the eucalypt on the other. So they're providing that nitrogen fixing properties as well as shade. And having the longer grass when they were young, I'll go down to the lower slopes that were planted after this. That just helps. We do get light frosts here in northern New South Wales, Australia. So it just helps with that frost protection when they're really young and vulnerable. So you can see this brown currajong now is just starting to get up. So having that shelter around it has worked really, really well. So I'm just so thrilled. And you can see here as well, we've got a diversity of all different clovers and grasses in the rows, and the wallabies love munching on that. So you can see here, this is a blackwood. This was planted from seed, and look at the size of that trunk, and that is just, I believe, 3 years old. And this was really important too, just starting out with the right species that were going to thrive in our climate. We've got heavy clay soil. The soil's beautiful up here on this hill, but it's very, very thin. When we were drilling the holes, some of the topsoil was only this deep. So we've got a white cedar here that's just starting to take off now. So this is our native forest, all planted on contour. Now you can see here as well, as it's getting shaded out, instead of that really thick Soteria grass, which again produced great mulch and was a really fundamental element of this system for providing shade from the 40-degree heat waves we'd get, as well as frost protection. Look how it's starting to change now. So it's starting to shade out the Soteria grass. We've worked out that the Soteria grass really doesn't like being shaded out, and this is fantastic because over time we're going to transform this system from a bacterial paddock system into a forest fungal network. So it's going to transform the landscape into a beautiful forest floor, and that's why all of this pruning, especially the lower limbs so we can get the ride-on mower through, is just going to be key to build up all of that beautiful mulch that's going to feed our more target species, which are these rainforest species that you can see planted in between the fast-growing gums. So here's another white cedar which is taking off. And you can see there's another rainforest tree here, and you can see just how much taller these key pioneer species are. So they've really fulfilled their function so, so well. And try not to walk through that spider web. One of my favourite trees is a blue quandong, so they're really starting to take off now. They don't like frost, but again, they've got that protection. So the results, just astounding. So I just wanted to give you some perspective of just how tall these trees are. I'm standing right next to this eucalypt species. As I tilt this up, you can see the height of that, which is absolutely amazing. And that's why I wanted to show you the size of the tube stock when these were planted. And I want to be clear too, we made sure we planted with the rains, so we haven't watered any of this. Nothing's been fertilized, nothing's been watered. We tried to look at, we'd just finished being in a really severe drought. So once that drought broke, we just went in planting mode, really trying to time it with the rains to give everything the best possible chance of survival, and the results speak for themselves. So let's go and check out the first food forest that I planted. And just a warning, I haven't been in there at least 6 to 12 months. It's a mess. It needs a lot of work, but hey, it's thriving without any intervention from me, which is great. But definitely time for a tidy up. Let's check it out. So you can really see the effect of those rows as we head down the hill. And you can see here as well, these rows were planted slightly later. So you can see we've had some storms too. So some of the acacias have blown over in the rows. We need to come and prune those up. But that's the idea. They're just short-term pioneers to kickstart the system. They're not going to be there long term. We want our target rainforest species to take over. So you can see here the difference in the heights because these were planted later than the top rows. And this is just a natural gully that feeds through. So I have started planting out just some native rainforest species that love wetter areas, and that's to mimic our creek across the road. So it's full of things like white cedars, Grevillea silky oaks, she oaks, which are really, really quick. And so these are starting to get up now. You can't see anything just yet, but again, this is a frost pocket. So I've just got the grass protecting everything until they start getting up above the grass, and then we'll start clearing this as we've got some trees holding that steep bank together. So here are our newer rows, and I've startled some little birds that are nesting in the grass here. I'm not sure if I can get those. They're quite hard to see because they're quite well camouflaged in the grass there. You can see them here, so it's really, we can't believe the number of birds that this has attracted. I'm trying to get a little blue wren into the shot now. You can see the birds there. So you can see this was planted a lot later than the rest of the system, probably a good 12 months later. So you can see we've just walked over. This is our long-term forest system. You can see this is a really great view of it on the other side. And now we're up in the first food forest I planted, which was that back corner of our property. So this gets all the winter sun, so it's definitely a warmer and drier microclimate. And this has been in the ground 3 years. This front row is a little bit newer. I've had the opportunity to plant out some more fruit trees just to extend the food forest a little bit. But as we walk into this system, you can see we're getting fantastic shade from these pioneer species. So again, we've got this acacia here, which is starting to shade out the tree rows, which is great because we want to create a cooler microclimate. We've got this really beautiful species of Calliandra that's in flower, so I can't wait to propagate lots more of this because you can see the size of that. That's getting up, I think, about 6 meters tall, and that was propagated from seed. And then as we go through, so there's different fruit trees. You can hear the birds as well. It's full of birds nesting. Often we've got wallabies just sleeping in the tree rows. Here's another support species. We've got this ice cream bean, which is actually covered in flower buds for the first time. So I love ice cream bean. It's like vanilla fairy floss. So a great chop and drop. And we've got other species like this teepoo. You can just see the height of these. These are kind of 10, 12 meters propagated from seed. So I tend to work over in our newer food forest, as you can see in the distance here, in the cooler months, because you can see it's not as mature. We've been planting that over the last 2 years and we're still planting it out. So when it's really hot, it's such a joy to come into this more established system and be in the shade under the canopy of the trees working away. So we've got to get in here with a brush cutter, clear all this grass, reveal where our target species are. So hidden here we've got things like, there's a young custard apple. So that's doing really well in this dappled shade. In our particular microclimate, I feel they do suffer in direct sun, so that loves it under the canopy of this Calliandra. We've got things like this loquat tree here, which is doing really well. That's next to a popcorn senna, and we're starting to get some seed on that, which is great because I can't wait to propagate more of those. And as I wander through here, we've got, what else do we have? More ice cream bean, another species of Calliandra here. You can see the pom-pom flowers, aren't they pretty? So I'm looking forward to getting a really good seed haul this season. Absolutely beautiful. Next to a Calliandra, we've got a Brazilian cherry here, and the Brazilian cherry's obviously doing really well. So looking forward to fruit off that. Another loquat tree, another custard apple there. So you see these branches are really difficult to walk under now, so definitely a good prune. And just like in our other system, so you can see here around this custard apple, we've got a carpet of acacia mulch. So that's starting to form our forest floor. The Soteria grass, which you can still see growing in the rows here because we haven't cleared it with the brush cutter yet. This is where we've been going over with the ride-on mower. The Soteria grass simply is not coming back. So we've really achieved our goal of shading out that long Soteria grass. Again, great to nurse the young trees, but eventually it starts choking things out. So we definitely want to start removing things like that in this system. Here we've got a longan, so tastes just like a lychee but a lot hardier, and I haven't had any success with lychees in our particular soil, heavy clay soil and microclimate, but the longans are doing really well. Next to that we've got a black sapote, and not all of these fruit trees were planted first. This particular area I really did start with the pioneers and then come in and plant the different fruit trees in the gaps as we started to get a bit more shelter. I'm trying to zoom up the little birds in the acacias. You can see there, and sometimes you wander through and they've got the most beautiful little nests in the acacias. So not only are the acacias a great pioneer, they're bringing in the birds, they're nesting in the trees and bringing all that additional fertilizer into the system. The other thing that I love as well, this system is downhill from the next door neighbour's cow paddock. So we've usually got cows grazing on these slopes above the food forest. All of that manure washes down in the rains and fertilises this food forest system without me doing any work. So it's another reason I'm loving this system. So now we'll head back up to the house. That's what could be achieved in just 3 short years, and even propagating things from seed. So as we head back up the driveway, this is our main food forest system. I'm going to do a separate series of videos on this because there's so much that's been happening. So for now you can just see we've got shade, we've got amazing growth. We've had some failures too, but I've looked at it as a giant experiment to see what works and see what doesn't work when you want something that's going to thrive without irrigation, without too much interference. So as I come up the driveway, and sorry, I might be puffing a bit, it's quite steep, you can see, I'll try to get him in frame here, a beautiful king parrot, and they love getting into the pigeon pea and eating the pigeon pea. So we've had so many king parrots come into the system. So we're getting all of that beautiful fertilizer from them, and they're just eating the green peas, so they're not spreading them or anything. And look at that, absolutely love them, and they're beautiful. So thrilled, we've got so many birds now. And now we're back to where we started in the home paddock. You can see it's a combination of a nursery as well as a veggie patch. And unfortunately, I do have a very sad update. I did a previous video where we moved this structure up the hill because it was full of our chickens. We're worried about predators, so we brought them into the home paddock where it's all double fenced. And very sadly, we lost our 18-year-old cat. He finally passed away. Within 2 weeks of our cat dying, we lost all of our chickens to foxes. So very, very sad. He really was the chicken's little protector, and also he used to protect me from brown snakes. He would follow me around the paddocks as I was planting trees and hiss and warn me when there were brown snakes, which obviously are the eastern brown's one of the most deadliest snakes in the world. And so we really miss him dearly. But obviously with death comes life as well. So I did want to show you the positive spin on this system. We had aged chicken manure mixed in with this wood chip all on the ground. So we left it for several months. And after we lost the chickens, I let the system rest, and then I brought in these raised beds and I filled all the raised beds with that beautiful aged chicken manure and broken down wood chip, and I'd say it's the best season of veggies that we've ever had. So thank you, chickens. The soil that they created was magnificent, but yes, we miss them dearly. We're not going to get any more chickens at this stage until we have a really secure structure, because we have no cat, no dog, and I do believe that makes a massive difference to deterring foxes. So as we come through here, you can see I've got these tromboncino zucchinis, which just keep growing year after year. We've had snow peas here, we've got broccoli, and we've got, what else have I got? Daikon radish, more broccoli that needs harvesting over here. And so it's just kind of the tail end. We're in spring, so it's really that in-between season. We've still got some winter greens producing, but in another area I've also started growing my capsicums, tomatoes, eggplants, and all those summer crops. You can see here as well what I've done, because the temperature has been so extreme, is I have had this shade cloth on top. So what we had a few 40-degree days at the end of August, which is our time that's supposed to be winter. And we still had all of our winter greens growing. So what I've done is I've put this shade cloth up on top. If it's going to be really hot, then I just roll the shade cloth down to protect the veggies. And then a mild day like today, I just roll it up so that everything's got access to some sunshine. But that's made a huge difference to the quality of our veggies and having everything survive and thrive. So that's it for me. I hope you've enjoyed this property update. I've done a whole series on the work we've done in our front food forest. So if you've enjoyed this, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll be sure to be posting more videos over the coming weeks of what we've done out the front. So thanks again for your patience. Thanks again for your beautiful comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care. Bye.